afternoon, Jacques. Good afternoon, Stick. Thanks, Ina. My question to you, I have to ask Rassie and Jacques specifically. It's just on a selection issue. Elton Jantjies, will he be selected for the end of year tour? Thanks.
Afternoon, hello Mabine, and hello everybody I haven't seen for a while, guys and ladies on that side. Jacques, I'll answer that one. So, yeah, on Elton, I think it's well documented that we mutually agreed with Elton that there was that personal reporting on him while we were on tour just before a really important test match that we would allow him to go back to his home and go and handle these personal reporting, which we didn't know what was true and what was not true. So yeah, he did that, and since that he hasn't played any rugby. So for us to be able to select him currently, we just haven't seen him play. And what we would love to do is just compare him to the other flyers on pure play and his form. As we keep roadmaps on every single player. Unfortunately, we couldn't have done this on Elton because he hasn't played since. So, no, he won't be up for selection.
Great.
Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Rassie, maybe if I could start with you and your director of rugby cap on the Women's World Cup. The loss to Fiji was quite a difficult one to take. Have they failed in their sort of objective at the tournament? I know they've still got the England game to go, but I would imagine the Fiji game was the one they were targeting for a victory.
No, definitely, and this is probably because we sit all three together here, because I think I'll have to give some background on some of the questions that you're asking. Otherwise, if I just answer them in isolation, it sometimes wouldn't make sense. So please bear with me if I'm giving long answers, and we'll get to Stocker and to Jacques. I have to quickly just give you a recap. When we came back from Ireland, the women's 15-man code were closed down because there was just simply not a pathway for women. And, there were girls who played for Springbok women who's played 4 matches in their life. So first of all, it was life-threatening to them playing against professional players. And second of all, it just wasn't fair to the South African and the Springbok women brand to let those girls play against teams that are fully professional. So we actually closed down the women's 15 and we started 8 youth training centers where we just get the girls playing rugby, enjoying rugby, socializing, and because you don't have the natural school path like boys have when they go through schools, any school, not just rugby schools. So when we got back, we actually were running a 7s program for women, almost fully professional, just not as big a contract as the men had. And they were running exactly the same program as the men's 7 ran. And we know how successful our men's program were. And the women's 7s were reporting into the high performance manager, Marius Skuman, and it was falling under the 7th department. As we came back, we said we had to find somebody. We're doing something really wrong. I put up my hand and said, guys, I think we're running a men's program with women here. And we decided when I presented to the Exco that we have to get a specialist lady in. I think you all know Lynn Cantwell by now. And this is a lady who's played 7 at the highest levels, who's played the 15 women code, and who's won Grand Slams. And I think who's played 87 test matches and is a qualified physio. And she's been in World Rugby committees and everything. She did investigation, and the biggest worry was, and I said it straight up, if we don't do something, we're going to get 100 points at the World Cup. Then with COVID striking, we had to close the 7s program, and we fully concentrated on the women's program. And we actually got to the point where women's rugby is now our second highest priority. Highly ranked, higher rank than junior Springboks, higher rank than the Blitzbokke. So it's men's Springbok and then women's Springbok. So I can tell you the fight they put up against the French, and I'll close the game against Fiji is certainly the game that we targeted. And it's going to be now a really tough test match against England. But I believe if we didn't intervene and you look at the progress that they would have made, I'm seeing Japan way back in 1995 when they lost against the All Blacks, the men's team, by 145 points. I actually think we prevented that. And we've got now 19 contracted players. And we've got girls who's played a lot of test matches. We've beat Japan. And yes, I actually, if we had a chance, unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to speak to the media. I was actually trying to get that message out that, you know, the Fiji game is probably the big one. And if we can really show progress, sorry for a long answer, but people who has followed the women's game and has seen how our women normally play would see that there's definitely progress. So no, I don't think it's a failure. Sorry for the long answer, but I had to give some
Great, thank you.
Jason?
Thank you, Zina. I've got 3 questions, but I'll only do one for now. Rassie, it's good to have you back. Just to confirm, is it only players who are based in France and England that won't be available for the England test? Is this correct? And if so, is the SA Rugby in talks with those federations or clubs to allow the players to be available for that test?
Yeah, you're talking about the men's team now for the outside the window. Okay, so the Japanese players are all available. We certainly have a relationship with some of the French clubs, you know, because we have played against England outside the window. That was the famous Handré Pollard tackle. You know, Ivan van Zyl was playing scrum off. I think it was the first game. Damian Willemse played fullback. So on the one hand, it does give you a chance to put the youngster in front of 85,000 people. But then on the other hand, you know, England can pick their best team, and it stays a test match 7 months out from the World Cup. So we are definitely happy to get the Japanese player available. Our South African franchises has been great because they can actually stop us from using their players outside the window. They're also just franchises and also have owner relationship with some of the French clubs we will believe available than we had in the previous time when we played England outside the window. But yes, in principle, they can stand their ground, the English clubs and the French clubs. If they don't want to build a relationship and get South African players in future, they probably should say no.
Hans?
Hi, gents. Hope you're well. Jacques, just for you, what's the news on Handré Pollard? Probably not the nicest sight seeing him go off, you know, early on his Tigers debut. Is he sort of like in a race against time? Have you guys perhaps earmarked this tour, you know, where he might have to just rest and recuperate for next year? What's the plan with them?
Handré had an operation after the Tigers game, and obviously he's in rehab now. So and returning to play. So I think the latest news that I have on him, I think it will be tough for him to make the tour. So I think but in saying that, things can happen, but I think he's still on his way to return, and I think it will be a tough one for him to make the tour.
Craig?
Thanks, Ina. Hi, everyone. I think just following on kind of that topic of the fly halves, so maybe to Jacques or Rassie, what is your thinking in terms of the depth at fly half and maybe some of the guys you're considering if Elton and Handré aren't available?
Obviously there's a big debate about the fly off, and if you think about it, we've got Handré, we've got Elton, and then if you want to put them in a pecking order, a guy like Damian Willemse stepped up nicely, and he started for us in the last couple of games. In the last game, we used Frans Steyn, and we also always in the alignment camps had Goosen with us in the alignment camps, with us in the preparation camp before Wales, as he was recovering from injury, and obviously he's getting a little bit of a go now in the URC. But so I think if you look at that, it's probably 6 fly-offs that I've mentioned now, guys that can cover us at fly-off, and then and I think Rassie mentioned now there's a couple of youngsters in the URC, not youngsters, but there's a couple of good performances from fly-offs in the URC that we're certainly keeping an eye on. So I think yes, not having Handré, not having Elton there, we're comfortable with Damien, and he's proven himself in the last couple of test matches, and then it would be nice to have you on there, you know, and to see how he falls into our program and how he delivers, and then there will be obviously there will be some of the younger guys pushing hard for spots.
See, can I have a follow-on on
Yes,
what's
yes.
on that? Sorry,
Yeah, fire.
Yeah, guys and ladies, can I maybe just give some context there? Sorry, man, I haven't spoken to you guys in a while, so please, this is just background information, because sometimes people make an assumption about something. For example, you know, if you just look at Frans Steyn, and we understand the fact that Johan Goosen wasn't available, and Handré wasn't available, and Cheslin, who can play fly-off, wasn't available, and we had Damien there, and then we put Frans in there just because, you know, you can't in the week before you play a test match get something new in, and now we're talking at number 5. And just get him to understand everything you're doing with a very important test match. And just to give some context, you know, definitely France made some errors there, but we were chasing 39 points. We were so desperately wanting to beat Argentina by 39 points, and we set ourselves targets in that match where we thought, you know, every 14 minutes we score a try and we slot 3 penalties, we're in with a chance. And then we didn't get to the penalty, we didn't get the tries, you know, one was disallowed by Evan and so on. And then a guy like France had to bite off more with his touch kicks for the corner. So sometimes when people see that specific kick to the corner and he's biting off more than he normally would, it is because we are chasing 39 points. And he's the kind of guy that won't stop if the first one didn't reach the 5 meter. And I think sometimes that is just because we really wanted to win the rugby championships. And again, I want to always reiterate that, you know, Richie Mwanga is a fantastic player, Bowden Barron's a fantastic player, but they lost to Argentina with those fly-offs. You know, we beat them with 15 points with Frans Steyn at fly-off. And it was, he hasn't played there in years, and he played a full 80 minutes. I'm not coming up for him. I'm trying to say that sometimes the guts of a guy who hasn't played in a certain position and the mistakes he makes is sometimes contributed by the fact how we wanted to play the game. And then obviously kicking a player right in the face wasn't part of it. But yes, maybe just some context. But yes, there's wonderful youngsters coming through, which will probably get a nice opportunity with Stocker in the A side when we play those 2 midweek games.